YouTube. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello. Hello. Yes. Yes, yes. How is everyone? Hello. Oh, we bet on Goliath. We bet David. Valuetainment.
It was 2 weeks ago. And, Tuesday, I wasn't on the pod for many reasons. I don't know what stories these guys told you. I'm sure Adam told you I was at a cat conference.
Conspiracy.
All these other stories. But all I know is I'm glad to be back with everybody. We had a massive convention the week before at MGM Grand. It was a phenomenal one. Great experience. Proud of the guys over there. Now here Thursday with a lot of, I feel like there's 6 months of stories we haven't covered. I miss you. I can't wait to talk to you wherever you are.
If this is your first time in the chat, first time visiting this channel, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe.
Much love to all of you wherever you are.
Do me that favor. It's free. It don't cost
I'm going to
nothing.
announce to you here today.
Also, follow me on Twitch as well.
Just so you know.
Add me on Facebook,
I know you're watching
Instagram,
What if I told
Twitter.
I can, in the next 60 seconds, recite every single one of yours actual social security number? Would you believe me?
Yeah, did you guys hear? If you haven't heard, let me enlighten you. 2.6 or 2.7 billion social security numbers and loads of personal information like phone records, addresses, dates of birth. All of this was hacked and stolen and sold on the dark web. So there's a very good possibility that your information was stolen.
Did you hear about what happened? Everyone's social security number was released, which means you got to call your bank. You got to go run a credit the next 30, 60, 90 days, probably for the rest of the year, to make sure nothing crazy is being done. Get one of those alerts. This is not a sponsor. I'm not even giving you a name. Call, ask what is the best alert to put on my credit to know when somebody runs a credit. I get an alert. Do that ASAP. Whatever. Call your bank and ask them. Do that ASAP. Apparently everyone's, 4 billion social security. How many social security numbers was it, Tom?
It was, it's at least 330 million active, and I'm hearing that it was like 500 million.
2.7 billion.
Because there's a lot of dead people, and then I don't know how you get to
2.7 billion
around the world. 2.7 billion records.
With each listing a person's
I got you.
full name, address, date of birth, social security number, and phone number. That hacker claimed the stolen files include 2.7 billion records. That's billion with a B as in boy.
Well, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot. Because listen, dead people can have credit. Why can't they? Dead people can do a lot of things, Tom. If you follow the history of different things, dead people have a lot of value. Let's continue. Joe Rogan clarifies that he has not endorsed RFK. It feels like a month ago. I haven't responded to it. RFK tries to meet Kamala Harris to discuss cabinet job. I got a message for RFK.
I can be very helpful to you.
That was actually very awkward, Tom. Rob, tell me that wasn't inappropriate.
Well, we thought he was here and he was inappropriate.
Last time you guys got upset for me saying something to Tom, tell me that's not a... Take away 15,000 subs from Tom. Go to his channel and unsubscribe if you're upset at him.
Tom, I have your back. Don't worry, man. It's okay.
Yeah.
No, that was RFK talking to
So, whistle...
I like this show, but there's some really awkward moments.
Lord Tulsi Gabbard named on TSA Quiet Skies watch list. Bad managers are reasons enough to quit, according to LinkedIn. More women are skipping college to make six figures as electricians, car mechanics, and truck drivers. U.S. colleges are cutting majors and slashing programs after years of putting it off. Kamala Harris, is she going to go campaign? Is she not going to talk to anybody? Mark Cuban goes on Jon Stewart to promote Twitter and X. He is officially in love with Elon Musk so much that he's going on a tour to promote how awesome X is. Obviously, it's sarcasm. He went on Jon Stewart to try to trash Elon, but it ended up backfiring and actually brought a lot of eyeballs to X. Very sweet of him to do so. Suddenly, hourly workers aren't so hard to find, according to WSJ. CNN effectively worthless after parent Warner Brothers takes $9.1 billion write-down. Google former CEO says the tech giant is losing out to open
You
AI.
hear all this crazy
because
shit that's
staff
happening
are
right
working
now?
from home. By the way,
How can you not hear all this bad stuff and not have some anxiety? It's mind-blowing. We are in such a bad state right now. The whole world, not just the US, the whole world is in such a chaotic state. I don't think there's any coming back from all of this. I think things are just gonna. The end game is everything's gonna get worse.
he said that in an interview.
That's just my
a few
opinion.
hours later, he walked it back a little bit. I wonder why. I'm sure Tom's got some thoughts on this. Nikki Haley
But
urges Trump to quit whining.
I can only control what I can control within
She's not
my
going to give you an interview, give an
sphere,
interview.
within
Believe
my
me,
own
we are
personal
asking
environment.
Dana Bash,
I have
Bristles,
no control
as
over
JD
what
Vance
goes
asks
on
why
anywhere
Kamala
else.
hasn't done an interview
I have
in
no
weeks.
control over what
Election
someone else
2024,
does
Trump
or doesn't
49,
do.
Harris 44, RFK 3. Rasmussen reports. Tom's got thoughts on that. They've done a great job with these polls lately. Tom, and shout out to Amy. Great job, Amy and Tom. UK Police Commissioner threatens to extradite jail U.S. citizens over online posts. Will come after you. 24 hours, Kamala Harris has not done a press conference. Home Depot cuts sales outlook. Mortgage refinance surges 35% in 1 week as interest rate.
This is just the stuff that's going on right now. He hasn't even started talking about anything yet.
It's at lowest in over a year. Middle and low-income Americans running out of disposable cash. And we got a few other stories we'll get
Running
into.
out? I think
Couple
most people
videos.
are out.
Thomas
Most
Crooks.
people are living
Guess what
check-
this guy
check to
does on
Ooh,
Christmas,
excuse me, check to
Valentine's
check.
Day, and Halloween. Vinny's going to tell you here in a minute. And then I think we got a couple other things. By the way, there's a new, this was actually very impressive, what you showed me. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. Do you guys have any plans of playing somebody better than you in chess? If you do, and you want to beat them, there's a. We don't recommend or endorse it at all. But there's this girl that used it that little creepy, like a lot of creepy. And if there's ever been a dumb time to do something like this, not thinking there's cameras around, it's today. But maybe nobody told her that billions of cameras are everywhere nowadays. She didn't think it was possible that she was going to get caught. Now, having said that, let me get into a couple different things. Look, for those of you guys that watch this podcast loyally and you're convinced the future looks bright, you're part of the 51% future looks bright, 49% only the paranoid survive. I'm excited about what's going on here. More and more, no matter where I go, I see this here. No, I go in Vegas. I see everywhere I'm seeing future looks bright. Future looks bright. Yo, PBD, future looks bright. Future. I love it and it excites me. I want to show you some pictures of guys that have bought the merch and they send it to me. By the way, if you have bought merch, Rob, if you can go to the pictures, I airdropped it to you. I don't know if you have them or not. Did you get them?
No.
I thought I airdropped them to you. Let me send them to your MacBook. Maybe that'll be faster. So if it's coming through. If you've bought gear of Future Looks Bright, Angry Patriot, anything with Valuetainment, anything with PBD Podcast, share it with us. We want to recognize you. Just the other day, we got some of them. We can't go through all of them, but we got some. I'm going to show you some of them here. One of them is an NFL player playing for the Baltimore Ravens, going through the frickin', what do you call it?
No way.
When he's going to the...
For like the running back?
No, he's going
No, those
through...
are the walk-in from the bus to the locker room.
Nick Moore, when he's going through the not locker room, the hall.
It's a stadium
like you're
hall,
going
yeah.
Stadium hall. He's going through the hall. Guess what shirt he's wearing?
The tunnel.
Frickin' Future Looks
Are you
Bright.
serious?
Yeah. Rob, did it go through or none of them went through?
Okay, so they're just promoting their merchandise right now. All right.
It's taking a second to download, but I'll have them in just a
Okay,
second.
don't worry. I'll show it to you here in a minute. Anyways, once they go to Rob, we'll show it to you. Here's what we got today. The biggest complaint I've gotten the last 90 days is Pat.
All right, let's get to the next story because he's just promoting his stuff now. All right, here we go.
He gets on a video, and on this video, he says, all right, let's go through the first story. Here's the first story I want to go with. First of all, Joe Rogan clarifies that he has not endorsed RFK, okay?
Joe Rogan.
He gets on a video, and on this video, he says he's the only guy that seems like he's not calling anybody out. If you want to pull it up, Rob, he's not calling anybody out. Just play the clip. We'll go from here.
That's politics. They do it on the left. They do it on the right. They gaslight you. They manipulate you. They promote narratives. And the only one who's not doing that is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
You a fan?
Yeah, I am a fan. Yeah, he's the only one that makes sense to me. He's the only one that he doesn't attack people. He attacks actions and ideas, but he's much more reasonable and intelligent.
This is so
The guy was
sinister.
an environmental attorney and cleaned up the East River.
What the media has done here is it just makes no sense. It makes no sense. Why are these people and these entities self-sabotaging? It does not make any sense. You'd want the upper hand. You don't want to give everything away. Are you deliberately setting yourselves up to just completely collapse? That seems like that's what the goal is, to make sure that every American loses complete trust and loses faith in the media completely. That's what it looks like. Like, they wake up every morning and they have a meeting, and you know what they discuss? How can we get Americans to trust us even less? Mark. That's how it feels. As silly as that sounds, that's what it feels like.
Legitimate guy.
Self-sabotage.
Before.
Why would you do this? Do you think, doesn't this have to go through more than one? I think I said this yesterday. Don't you have to go through a process? Doesn't this have to be reviewed several times before whatever final product it is released to the public? So you telling me everyone across the board thought chopping Joe Rogan's clip up and turning it into a false narrative, every single person was okay with that? Who's in charge at MSNBC? What idiot is running that company that allowed someone to do that? They said, sure, go ahead, upload it.
Or anybody started calling him an anti-vaxxer, which I thought he was too. I thought he was this nut, this conspiracy theorist nut, until I read his book. I read The Real Anthony Fauci, and I'm like, what is it? How much of this is real? Because if it's all
Anthony Fauci, just his name is synonymous with distrust.
real, this is fucking insane. And we live in a world where we're being manipulated by these health organizations that are being paid by the pharmaceutical drug interests. And these pharmaceutical drug companies are pumping these products out into the population and telling us that we need them, and then making insane amounts of money.
So he makes this comment. Trump comes out with a tweet. Trump says, I wonder what the fans are going to react when he walks into the next UFC. I'm sure did you guys read that on the Unusual Suspect? Mm-hmm. How they're going to react when they walk in. Just go to images, Rob. It'll pop up if you go to images. And, he makes these comments, and then Rogan comes back and says, I'm not endorsing RFK. All I'm doing is, he says, that's not an endorsement. Clarifies RFK is likes RFK as a person. Confusion over Rogan's position on election arose following Tuesday.
Yo, just a side note. Look, I've been doing my push-ups every day, right? I ain't gonna lie, man. Like this, all of this right here, man, the shit feels like solid rock. Boom. Solid rock, no fat. Constant push-ups every day. I'm telling you, it's like boulders right here. Like,
during the appearance, can I differentiate for the record? This isn't an endorsement. This is me saying that I like RFK Jr. as a person, and I really appreciate the way he discusses things with civility and intelligence. I think we could use more of this in this world. I also think Trump raising his fist and saying fight after getting shot is one of the most American effing things of all time. Okay, so that's that. Back and forth, and then it'll be interesting to see how loudly Joe Rogan gets booed next time he enters the UFC ring. And then you know what Joe Rogan does? Joe Rogan goes, by the way, kill Tony. Tony Hinchcliffe is killing it. That's exactly what he's doing. The guy's on freaking fire. Mm-hmm. Selling out arenas with his show that he's doing. I think he's got the best comedy show on podcast in the world, apparently. Kill Tony, yeah. But Rogan posts a picture. Maybe one of the best pictures he's posted on Instagram. If you go to Rogan's Instagram, this is why Rogan understands the simple concept of humor. And if you look at the picture that he posts a picture saying, "Don't worry, we got it squared away. Me and Trump are good." And what was it? A picture of him and Shane Gillis, right? And it gets 500,000 likes, and everybody laughs, and everybody moves on. The power of humor, right? When this takes place. When an exchange like this happens, Vinny, how do you process this? When that happened with Joe, RFK, Trump, back and forth, Shane Gillis, humor, how do you process
Okay,
that?
so I'm going to take a couple of different angles because
You know what I heard recently? I might have been on Tuesdays with Stories with Mark Norman and Joe List. Might have been one of them that said it. It feels like this stand-up comedy period that we're in, like this golden age that we're in right now, like that curtain's closing very quickly. It feels like.
I know exactly where Joe Rogan is a grown man. He can say what he wants, who he likes, and it shouldn't really bother anybody. On the other side, I could see the Trump people, because mind you, when this happened, you have no idea how many messages I got, because I try to play devil's advocate, PBD. You have to understand, coming from Trump hearing him saying, all these people gaslight you. He said all of them, so that includes Donald Trump. So he lumped them in there, and he said all these people do this, and the only one, and is not attacking people. The only one that's not doing it is RFK. From Donald Trump's point of view, he's a loyalist. Joe Rogan doesn't owe him anything. But if you think about it, Joe Rogan has had how many years now? 7 years. Trump has shown through and throughout that he's exactly what the country needs. All the stuff that they did him with CNN and turning his color green for COVID. They did all that with Trump. They've been going after Trump this whole time. So I think Trump felt like, hey, listen, I've been nothing but I prove myself through and through. When I see you at the UFC, I shake your hand, I give you respect. Even all that, you haven't put me on your podcast. You don't even want to have me on your podcast. He said in the past he doesn't want to. So being Trump, I'm thinking as Trump, being the loyalist pen, he wants loyalty. Not that, again, he doesn't owe it to him. But I feel like for him to come out after everything that Trump has bled, he was shot in the head, and getting to the point where he's showing you all this love and everything, for you to still say, like, I'm gaslighting and I'm attacking, the same people that are attacking you have been attacking me for 7 years. So I feel like Donald Trump, by the way, not a good move. I don't agree with it. I don't think coming out there and saying something like that, you could have said something like, hey, listen, not cool, Joe. I've been over here for you the whole time. I'm not a gaslighter. I'm not like that. But, that's how Trump rolls, bro. And that's how I feel.
So, I think, you look at it, and I thought Rogan was making a very casual point, a clear point. I read the book. You read RFK's book on Fauci. We know how Rogan feels about vaccinations. Everything went along with that. And he's talking about that. And he said, I found a reasonable guy. But right now, we are at the height of sensitivity, and we are in the middle of incredibly hot media and trying to figure out, is the Kamala bounce that we're seeing in the polls, is it really only 1-2%? Is it more than that? There is such a backstory going on here. And I think Trump is his ears are hypersensitive right now to what he's hearing from people. And I don't know if it was the best move to kind of come out on Rogan like that, but I don't think Rogan meant ill will, trying to besmirch him. And I applaud Rogan for coming back and saying, hey, I wasn't endorsing him. This is what I was doing. So I thought Rogan was just trying not to keep it flamed, but to kind of get it to calm down and clarify.
But let me ask you a question, Tom. Do you feel like Trump is a little bit perturbed that the #1 podcast, I know he's flip-flopping back and forth with Tucker, that he hasn't not necessarily endorsed him, but have him on the podcast, have a conversation with him, to publicly come out and say, no, I'm not interested in giving him a podcast at all. You don't feel that kind of, and again, I don't like what Trump did. I know there's people out there like, oh, brainwash or whatever. No, it's not a good move. He had no reason to. Why do that? It's almost as if a Gen Z person got on the phone and texted. You don't think it bothers him that he hasn't even invited him on the podcast?
I can't speak to the Trump campaign strategy for where they're going to be interviewing and what the media travel plan is. Right now, Kamala Harris doesn't sit down with anybody.
Yeah.
So I can't say who's thinking what and who's concerned. There's a lot of open chairs with a lot of very influential podcasts that could really help this election and help with strategy. And so I think Trump could be a lot of places. I can't read into what he may or may not have been thinking about Rogan's scheduling and whether Trump's even available, where he was going.
So the question I think we need to ask is, was this a good move or a bad move for Trump to respond viciously to Joe Rogan? I would say it's a stupid move. President Trump. Why make Joe Rogan an enemy at all? Joe Rogan was a Bernie Sanders guy 8 years ago, and he's inched closer and closer and closer and closer to your world. You know, many people think that Joe Rogan is a right-wing kook. He's not. He's a free thinker. He's an independent. He's a libertarian, probably, that likes to shoot guns, eat venison and meat, and smoke weed and do his thing. And certainly know about UFC. Why at all have an issue with Rogan? How does that help you increase voters? It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't at all.
And it ruins your relationship with Dana, because now you put Dana White in an awkward position because he walks in with the guy and he works for him.
Yeah, I mean, and
Not a good move.
you know, we had a conversation. We have a bet whether Trump is going to go on Rogan. We'll see.
Yeah.
Does this accelerate that?
This does
Definitely
not.
not.
No, it does not.
I'm so mad.
Let me just.
You don't think this accelerates it?
No.
Accelerated to not to go on. Oh, this I think
I think
hindered
it's the opposite.
Really?
I think it's completely
Let me
the
tell
opposite.
you why. Let me tell you why. You have no idea how the perfect storm happened. What is the perfect storm? Everybody follows someone's lead. Okay? And Joe is gifted because he's hypersensitive. The hypersensitive people, we link hypersensitivity as a negative thing. Okay? Obviously, there's hypersensitive, super insecure, lazy. That's dangerous. Right? Did you understand those three?
Yes.
Hypersensitive, insecure, and lazy is very dangerous. Those three. Hypersensitivity, with you're comfortable in your own skin and you're driven, that's Michael. Super hypersensitive. Are you kidding me? He still doesn't talk to Scotty or Charles Barkley. Your best friend.
Yeah.
What did Barkley do? All he did do his job.
Yeah.
Do you realize why they're not speaking? He explained why they didn't speak. Because Barkley went and worked for TNT, said a couple words about Michael. That's the last time he spoke.
Done deal.
How dare you cut me like that? Okay. Trump, hypersensitive. How dare you say something like this about me? Okay? Hypersensitive. Who else do you know that's hypersensitive? Think about the people you know that are hypersensitive, but they have the ultimate trifecta. Hypersensitive, confident, and driven. Okay?
Tiger Woods. Don't say nothing about him or his coach when he was at his playing peak.
I know. There you go. Him as well. So Rogan is hypersensitive. He's secure. And he's driven. You don't have to make this guy work. Who just did the biggest podcast in the history of mankind?
Elon and Trump.
Elon Musk has officially done the biggest podcast in the history of mankind. Ever. It's done. He broke the record.
Yeah.
Okay? 1 billion views. He put the number up. You understand what that means?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So guess what?
1 billion views.
Joe doesn't now have to worry about anybody saying, you helped Trump get elected. Now Joe can just go and do it and say, well, he must have done.
Can you imagine 1 billion views on one of your videos? Shit.
Just on a regular podcast. It's not going to get 1 billion views. Because Joe doesn't have 190 million followers on Twitter and X. Musk does. Joe's not worth $250 billion. Joe's a billionaire. If he's not a billionaire, he's going to be there in the next 24 months. If he's not there right now. I'm just saying he's a billionaire because if he's not, it's because...
If you're interested, this is the Patrick Bet David podcast I'm listening to, watching. And this is from 2 days ago. Musk and Trump, X Spaces, RFK, and Kamala cabinet job, Nord Stream, all that good stuff. It's a good one
He
so
doesn't give
far.
a shit about being a billionaire, but he's going to be a billionaire. You know, Musk has got a mission he's on. Joe's not on a mission. Joe's enjoying his life, right? And his mission is a different mission that he's got. One is trying to go land on the moon. One is trying to keep humanization. Joe is just kind of trying to have the conversation, enjoy his life, be a good father, do his best as a human being. That's what he's trying to do. So I actually think this perfect storm of this feud happening with RFK, with Musk having Trump on, accelerated the process of him getting on. And on top of this, guess what the conversation is right now behind closed doors? That Trump's campaign managers are about to get fired. And Trump is potentially having a conversation with bringing Kellyanne Conway as a campaign manager.
Bringing her back.
Bringing her back. And by the way, Kellyanne is, to me, is a stud of a person. We've dealt with some of the campaign managers on the inside. Here's a problem when you have a campaign manager on the inside that are sensitive, and I'm not saying they are, but an article was written about a year ago, okay? And one of our guys wrote the article, and this article gets posted. WTF, what is this all about? What do you mean? One of the guys wrote the article. The article alluded to something about some investment that was raised years back. It wasn't a positive article about somebody. Boom. Unfollow, silence, everything. Okay? So, no problem. This is when the call is happening that something may happen for conversation. And then I'm at all the Republican presidential debates
and everything.
Yeah. And I'm running into these guys, and I'm just seeing how they're processing issues, okay? And I'm sitting with Chris Pavlovsky from Rumble, who's, by the way, the guy's freaking kicking ass.
I would like to go to Rumble. At least check it out. I like YouTube though. I haven't really had any issues with YouTube. One issue, but it's minor in comparison to other situations, other circumstances.
I love that guy.
Very happy for the guy. What he's doing, good for him. I hope Rumble becomes a $100 billion company and they whoop some ass and they compete. And love the fire. I think he's the right guy for the job, and he's doing a good job. So keep at it. So we're meeting around these people. As a campaign manager, this is what you have to be careful with. There's a difference between you not doing something because of your ego that hurts the chances of the person you're representing. For example, I have this conversation with Sam all the time. Handlers have a lot of power. Campaign managers have a lot of power. What do handlers do? Let me explain what a handler can do. How much power does a handler have?
A lot, because any conversation that you should or shouldn't have, they're making that decision of who you should talk to and who you
They
should.
have one thing that is more powerful than anything, and that is access.
Yeah, handling you.
The
They're handling who you-
access to whoever they're trying to reach, whether it's
They
Trump,
control
whether it's
the
PBD.
calendar and the
Yeah.
agenda of who talks to the person they're handling.
What are the worst handlers?
The ones that let their personal opinions and their views get involved with who that you should be talking to.
Let me put it, if your handler, after meeting people through you, is the first to post a picture of the person they just met, it's
a
about
wrap.
fame.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Of course, I've never had a handler, so I don't know.
Why are you sharing the pictures of who you just met? You're a handler.
They forget they're a handler.
Your job is to be a handler. You chose this job.
That's the problem with social media.
Don't do this
One of many problems.
job if you want to be famous and cool. Jonah Mendes, one of the best things she ever told me, this is the former chief disguise officer of the CIA. When I asked her repeatedly, this was one of the best things ever said on an interview I ever did. I said, what's the great quality of a CIA agent? I said, is it to be charming? Is it to be charismatic? Is it to be a great salesperson? Is it to be a good negotiator? Is it to be, what is it? It says, is it to be driven? Is it to be competitive? He said, it's all of that plus one thing. I said, what's that? Have I told you this story?
I was gonna guess.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what she said. I've told you
Yeah,
this
go ahead.
story. Here's what she said. It gave me the chills all over my. I was in front of the White House when I interviewed her. With the set in the back is the White House.
Sick.
If you actually go to this, Rob, type in Jonah Mendes by David, she says they have to be charming, charismatic, all this other stuff. But one thing is very important. They don't need any recognition. And if they save the free world, they don't have to tell anybody about it. That's the podcast. White House is right behind us.
Oh, that's a sick
Can you go
shot.
to the picture that shows the White House, Rob? You just had it right there. One of the takes shows the White House. That's the White House right behind us. So she says they don't have to tell anybody about it. Sometimes handlers want to act like it's cool. That
I ain't gonna lie, that I guess that's close, but I was thinking he was like right out, like chilling out on the front lawn. I didn't know he was like 8 blocks away.
they're on the inside to be with Trump.
But I mean, it's
Yeah,
still, I
right.
guess it's still worth
This is
recognizing.
not about being cool. This is a proper person doesn't have to be impressed that they're around you, that they have to brag about it. Kellyanne Conway is fantastic because she's been around so many big personalities. It's like, listen, I respect you. I'm doing the job because I'm doing it for America. So I think right now, with the perfect storm of Musk just having Trump on, of his feud with Trump over RFK, of the campaign manager potentially getting fired and being replaced by somebody else, and to top it off,
Yo, I'm not really into politics that much. I like talking about like real life shit that's going on, but this whole like election situation, man, it's only gonna get wild. It's only gonna get more wild as it goes. We still got a few months to go.
RFK goes
That's a lot of time in between.
and has a meeting with Kamala Harris's team for a job on the campaign. I think all of these things accelerated the chances of.
Is that story accurate? Did he actually meet with her?
Well, there were
This
reports.
is WAPO.
This is WAPO.
This is WAPO, okay? So RF Kennedy tried to meet Kamala Harris to discuss a cabinet job.
Like, really?
Okay, go through it, okay? So here's a story. He wants to meet with, now, do me a favor, go to his Twitter account while I'm reading this, Rob, to see if he answered to this question. RFK sought a meeting with Kamala Harris to discuss potentially joining her cabinet if he endorses her campaign. Harris's team have not endorsed proposal. Kennedy's previously attempted similar talks with Donald Trump with no agreement reached. Kennedy's campaign claims that his endorsement would boost Harris or Trump across 31 states. However, his standing in national polls has dropped since Joe Biden exited the race from 9 to 5%. Despite this, Kennedy is still actively campaigning, but is open to other avenues to influence change. Kennedy's outreach to Democrats, including attempts through Hollywood intermediaries and Biden allies, has largely been ignored, with Democrat insiders dismissing him as a MAGA-funded fringe candidate. Is that his response to it?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go through it. So VPR's Democratic Party would be unrecognizable to my father and uncle, and I cannot reconcile my
The Democratic Party of RFK and JFK was the party of civil liberties and free speech. VP Harris's is the party of censorship, lockdowns, and medical coercion. Kennedy Democrats were anti-war. Kamala's riddled with neocon warmongers. The fuck?
I'll use the Democratic Party.
True.
The RFK, JFK Dems were allies of Main Street cops, firefighters, and working people. VP Harris is the party of big tech, big pharma, and Wall Street.
Harris's party of censorship and lockdowns and medical coercion. Kennedy Democrats were anti-war. Kamala's riddled, survive an unscripted interview. Instead of outlining a vision, she relies on middle school tactics, memes, forge headlines, infantile slogans, joy, and name-calling Republicans as weird. I've spent years battling government corruption and lies. VP Harris spent years gaslighting about the health of our commander-in-chief. I have no plans to endorse Kamala Harris for president. I do have a plan to defeat her.
Boom.
Damn.
Is he accurate?
So let me ask you.
100%.
No, hang on. Let me ask you this.
Sure.
This is really the only question. Okay. What's the percentage you believe he directly or indirectly or sending a handler went to Kamala Harris's camp to talk about a potentially job to negotiate with them?
Nah.
You're at zero?
I'm
You're at zero?
very low.
Rob?
Very low.
I'm also at zero. I have a clip I can play you, which is what.
Go for
Very
it.
low.
Where you
Are
at?
you at zero? I mean, you never know. Like
Where you at?
2%?
Tom, where you at?
I'm at 25%, and they told him to F off, and that led to the last sentence of that, because everything in there is true, and then the last sentence, I have no plans. But did you have a plan last week? Were you thinking about, hey, my voice needs to be heard, I want to be relevant? I think there's a 25% chance he went in there, and they told him to stuff it, and then he's like, okay.
If you had to put a percentage.
I fully disagree.
Well, but Adam, you're saying zero means 100% zero.
You're right.
That's what I said. You're saying
You're right. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, I want to hear
Go
it.
ahead. I agree
I
with
wouldn't say zero because, the margin of error, 2%, whatever.
Aha!
Very low.
Yeah.
Think about it from Kamala Harris's position. You don't think she wants his 5, 10, 15%, whatever the hell he's pulling at? You think that she's too good for that? By the way, don't look now. She's just, quote unquote, tied, surpassed, right there with Trump at this point, even though she hasn't said a word.
Maybe.
Trump and Kamala, whatever you think, would be very smart to cozy up to this man. This man is smart. He's informed. He's a fighter. He knows what the hell he's talking about. To get him on your team How much money would you pay for that? What kind of campaign advisor budget would you put together to get RFK on your squad? I think he'd be way more aligned with Trump than with Kamala. So that's why I posed the question at the beginning. Do you think that story is even true? I don't see him after making a statement like that.
This is the day after Joe Biden announced that he was stepping down and not continuing.
Which, in my opinion, was wild and pretty scummy. I think that was a bullshit move on their part to just fuck up the whole momentum of things.
To seek the office of president in 2024, and Kamala was
what?
the nominee.
Okay, go ahead.
Kamala Harris is the party of war. She is. She's a war hawk. The Democratic Party was always the peace party. Kamala Harris is a war hawk on Ukraine. She's a war hawk on China. I think that we should be figuring out ways to coexist with the rest of the world as best we can. Of course, we need to protect our national security.
Plainly put, we should figure out a way to get along with the rest of the world, but at the same time protect our borders and our country.
I think she's not going to do anything about the national deficit.
Nope.
I've never heard her speak about the chronic disease epidemic. I think she's a product of the corporate control of our democracy, and she's one of the authors of in terms of civil rights. She has one of the worst civil rights record of any public official. She's the author of one of the primary authors of the school to prison pipeline. She kept 5,000 people despite a Supreme Court order that she released 5,000 prisoners of nonviolent drug crimes who were,
Tom, I'm not coming to you first, but Vinny, go ahead. What do you?
I mean, again, who knows? At the end of the day, we can't say 100%, but
That's crazy. The fact that she had smoked weed, was hitting that sticky icky, right? But then would like, I guess, like, make sure like people were going to jail if they had weed charges. Like she's like a hypocrite, like the biggest hypocrite. She was questioned about whether or not she had ever smoked weed, and she apparently laughed about it. She more or less said yes, and basically proceeded to humor herself. It's so disturbing. But then you're gonna turn around and throw all these people in jail for marijuana. And it's public record. This is not me like coming up with some shit.
I mean, I'm thinking, I went to the Trump side. You think after, because Trump had that call with him that was leaked, somebody recorded him talking about it. You think after that, Trump is even considering bringing this guy on board on him after he found out that he might have been going to Kamala to try?
Yes, if he was smart.
Well, I mean,
Wait, you're saying Trump may not want him on
I
his
say
side?
if Trump found out, like, think about this. Look at how he responded to Joe Rogan.
Yeah, how life works.
You don't think?
Let me tell you how business works.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm in the.
I love it. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Yo, Patrick's a little arrogant sometimes. Yeah, he the little dickish moments come out from time to time. Sit down, youngster. Let me learn you something. Let me learn you a little something about business.
Convention last week, okay, with my key leaders. And, there are certain things when you look at everybody, and I have a score for them and they have a score for me. Here's how life works. My guys, when you're around business for a long time, I have stuff on some of my guys who left me and are not with me, who are very good with me, because whatever they did, I've never told anybody. And I knew, I've never told anybody. They left, they trashed me, never told anybody. Personal stuff, never told anybody, okay?
It's called loyalty.
So, while you're transitioning with the move that you're going right now, I know what's gonna happen, okay? Some people only look
Maybe
at you
not
as,
to that
"I can make a lot of
person,
money
but
with this guy."
to a
And
moral
they're loyal to you
code.
while you're there, that they can monetize you.
There's a difference between being loyal to somebody and being loyal to a moral code, something that you live by.
And then all of a sudden, when that moved, they're like, oh, my loyalty has to move over here because of my money. And you'll feel that. And it's awkward because some of the guys, you're like, I did the most for that guy. And they gradually kind of become like this with you. Okay, cool. Some of the guys, they've always been the same with you. Some of the guys, you never knew they were the most loyal to you. But at a time like this, you realize, wow, you were the one most loyal.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. But guess what? You have to manage our relationships. So for Trump, for a guy that's on the other side, you look at everybody in the room and you have a score for everybody on how much you trust them. It's very simple. So for example, say, oh, I would never trust you around my daughters. I would never trust you around my family. I would never trust you with my money. I would never trust you with a top secret. I would never, because I always know you always make a decision for what's best for you, not what's best for the company. So if I tell you something about one of our employees, you'll go tell her what I just told you to protect her career, not my career, not the boss's career. So you're not a company person. You're a person that's protecting people that are helping you, not me. Totally, now I know. Make sense? But we can still coexist. It's uncomfortable, it's weird, but Trump knows how to do this. Anybody that's ran a big organization knows you don't have 100% of 100% of people. You're delusional if you do. If you think and expect that from everybody, you will build a very small organization. Now,
I agree with all of that. I have no rebuttal.
here's how this also works. So you'll have people
That's
in the military.
That's exactly how business works.
What's the highest level of secret clearance you got?
TS.
What's-
TS with
what's
like
higher than that?
I mean, it's like different levels of TS, but it's up there.
What level of top secret levels are they? Can you pull it up?
Like I know it's TS with like no like boundaries or something on it. Then there's just secret. Then there's like classified.
And there's like Men in Black.
Well, what are the levels? Okay, are there levels? I guarantee
there's
there's
definitely
levels.
there's definitely levels.
New secret clearance, 6 to 8 months for a new top secret clearance.
The sensitive
15 months for
compartment,
top
that
secret.
CSI.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there you go. So what's the point? In your team, as it gets more secret stuff that you're working on, the room gets what? Smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. RFK, if he's on the camp, he may be in the 3rd room or the 4th room or the 5th room, but there's no way he's on the 9th room where the room is only 3 people.
Yeah.
So yes, RFK's got a place on the team. He just doesn't have it in the room. That's the fun. Because say you and I talk about something that happened. Okay. Say the 5 of us have a call together. Okay. After the 5 of us have a call together.
Trump and Musk. Okay. I don't want to hear about the politicians. Let's talk about something else.
Trump do a spaces together. First hour doesn't work. Media reacts. A false start. Newsom jumped on top of it, begging for it. Look, what's going on here? You know, X doesn't have bandwidth. Just like his campaign. Look what's going on. The last time this happened, DeSantis, his campaign failed. This time,
Trump and fucking
Trump's campaign's going to fail. Blah, 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 blah. Right. Okay, cool.
They had
So
some
they finally
technical
do it.
difficulties,
Okay.
man. Shit happens.
And it ends up being how long, Rob? Do you have the exact timeline? It was 3 hours and 16 minutes total with the delay. So imagine he sat there for 3 hours and 16 minutes. And
Wow.
what did they talk about? They talked about, illegal immigration. They talked about what were you going to say before you were rudely interrupted by an assassination attempt, right? Which was a funny line that Musk said. Record-breaking illegal immigration in the country. They talked about that. I beat him so bad I won the election. Okay, he's still kind of going back to election interference. Told China, if you buy oil from Iran, you will not do any business with the U.S. Iran no longer has money for Hamas or Hezbollah at the time when he was negotiating. Now they got a bunch of money. Biggest threat isn't global warming, it's nuclear warming, which was very interesting when Musk kind of took the position of, climate change. And he's like, well, there's something going on there, but it's not the solution that they're taking. He kind of took that route. And there was a part where, Trump said, look, I understand you come company and the product and Tesla, what you're doing, the car's a great car, but guess what? We still need gas-driven cars, and
Yes.
we kind of went through that. And by the way, Elon didn't correct them. Elon actually doubled down and said, "You're right. There is a need for the oil and gas industry." And that was very interesting on the way. This is why Elon's got. By the way, if Elon was
The
a
electrical
US
grid
citizen,
is so
just check it out.
fragile.
Just like, be like,
Yeah,
done. If that guy
It's
was a
very
US
unwise
citizen,
to make everything
and then
electric.
biggest threat doesn't go, but he has a low IQ 30 years ago. He's
That
talking
that
about he had
seems
a low
like
IQ 30
that
years
seems
ago,
like
but
that
man,
shouldn't even be a
no IQ
question.
today, all these lines that he says.
There should be no
Great
discussion
product,
about that. That
everyone
you should
should
already
have an
know.
electric car, but I have to give you credit. She's considered more progressive than Bernie Sanders, Kamala. Musk endorsed Trump. He started selling the dream, etc. So, which was great. And by the way, if you remember a couple days ago on Twitter, not even a couple, this was the day where Trump got upset. Rob, can you go to Twitter on my the tweet I had the day he got upset at Rogan, and I posted something, and I said, "Focus on selling the dream like you did before." I think that's what I said. Can you zoom in the one that's weird? You go look there it is, but it's go lower than that. That's after he said it when I tweeted that. Go lower, go lower, go lower, 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 go lower, 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 lower. Keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep
It's crazy.
going.
Patrick's from
Keep going.
Iran.
Oh, that was that's what I said right there, Ken. MAGA Trump. And this is where I talked about the fact that, when he went after Rogan, and the main message was, sell the dream. So at the end, I don't know if you guys caught it at the end. Did you listen to the whole live?
Yeah, I think about it.
When he started selling the dream, it was a beautiful thing. He says, look, at the end of the day, America's about the dream. That's great that he's talking about the dream. But it was an incredible spectacle. Now, Megyn Kelly said it was boring. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
Megyn Kelly said it was boring. Some people said he was rambling. Some people said he had a lisp. Some people said he had this, this thing going on.
What was that lisp?
How did you process it?
Well, I actually, because I watched the whole thing. I just took a bunch of notes. I just off the rip. Okay, he could talk off script about policy for hours. Okay, how old is he right now, Robbie? 78. 78-year-old dude. He's sitting there in that room, and we've been in that room before. He was funny, and I feel like him and Elon Musk have a great relationship, and they have a mutual respect for each other. You could hear it through their conversation. Okay, I think Trump was authentic, transparent. This got him a bunch of new demographics. Think about all the people that you never thought. 1 billion impressions, Pat. Trump's promises. One of the biggest promises I love was getting rid of the Department of Education. That was one of the ones that hit me. And he goes, "I'm going to give it to the states to deal with that." He wants to get rid of that department. He had a plan to utilize Trump, Elon, in the upcoming administration we talked about. I think it was a win for him. It was a win for X. And I think, when do you get to sit down and listen to a president speak like that for 2 hours and however many minutes it was?
I agree with a lot of that. And what I would add to that is we heard an unscripted leader talking.
Bingo.
And if some people think, oh, that was boring, would you rather have someone standing at a microphone just reading the teleprompter for 5 minutes?
No, I want something real. I want something organic.
Not pointing anybody
Absolutely.
out here.
No.
Right? And then avoid the media and not talk at all. No, he went there and he was informed. He was engaging. He was funny. Maybe a little too acerbic on a couple things, name calling. You just stick to the policies and just let us know what you think. But I thought it was wonderful. And how many times in life have you said, you know what? I never saw this side of them. A friend, a mother-in-law, people like that. And all of a sudden you have a different vibe or a different meeting or a different engagement. And then, wow, I really didn't see the side of them. There's something I didn't know. I'm glad I did. And I think a lot of American voters that's exactly how they felt.
That's good. You made yourself more real.
And I'll tell you what, Pat, if you did a video with Trump, an interview with Trump, what are the chances that you, PBD, on the PBD podcast, would do audio only interview with Trump? You. What are the chances?
Zero.
What are the chances that you would have 0 short clips for people to watch and see each of these conversations in?
I'm really curious to know where you, because I
Can you
already
get to
have
the point where you disagree with Danny?
Yeah. So okay.
So my point
zero. I'm
is-
gonna do clip.
Oh, there it
This-
comes.
I really thanks for the Tom comedy out here, buddy. I'm gonna start interrupting you every time.
We're going to go back to that princess crap if you don't shut up.
At what point do I just slap an old man? I will not disrespect the. This was a wasted opportunity because this garner any new votes. This was great. 3 hours.
This
of
got
Trump
awkward.
Rambling with Elon.
I think there's a part. Oh, but you have to realize, you know what is the biggest podcast in the world? X. So, and you know how many editors Elon Musk has? About 200.
Talking about China.
Yeah.
Here's a short clip of this.
There was millions of short clips.
Show me them.
They're
Rob
all
has
over
a bunch.
Twitter.
Rob has a bunch of
By
them.
the way, it's all over Twitter. That's not Musk's job.
No,
But Musk, yeah,
But is there? It was not. It was just audio, not visual. I don't know. I'm a visual learner. Maybe this is just me. That's part of the reason that I like
you're going somewhere else with that. Let me say a couple thoughts. Do you have anything else to add outside of that? Is that where you were going with it?
I'm just saying. I think it was great that they're having this conversation. Kamala would
Well-
never do something like this. But to me, it could have been better.
Yeah, so I think when you asked the first question was, would you ever do just audio? I
Yeah.
said no. Would you
You
ever
said
do it
0%.
with no short clips? No. But you have to realize, you know what is the biggest podcast in the world? X. So, and you know how many editors Elon Musk has? About 200 million.
Mm-hmm.
And you know who those editors are? Viewers.
Random.
You know how many editors we got? 15. So the only difference between us, we pay for our editors. He doesn't. They do it for free. He's got non-profit editors, people who edit for him without him having to do it. I don't know if you understand the
I
point.
do it all the time.
Yeah. So matter of fact, we're all editors for, if you kind of break that part down. Now, this is kind of how I see it when I listen to this. And Megyn Kelly said bored, blabbering, da 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 da, and all this other stuff. Look, go to Twitter, Robin, if you can pull up kind of what I said about it. But I'll add one other thing here to it. So to me, I think there's a part where I can look at you and we work together here. And if all of a sudden I notice you're not good to give credit, you make it look like I came to recruit you instead of you come here.
Yeah.
Someone's in your ear.
Yeah.
And someone's whispering to you that without you, Pat would never have PBD Podcast. No, but wait a minute.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, I guarantee you've already gotten those calls, okay? If let's just say, somebody comes to me and says, well, Pat, you realize without you, no one would ever know who Adam is, okay? And somebody goes to Adam and says, and Adam, let me tell you, you're the only reason of all the other ones, you know what they're all about. So there's no way no one gets these messages. Everybody's getting these messages and these calls. Same with Tom. Tom, you're the smartest guy on the pod. I'm only tuning in to you.
Yeah.
Tom's like, I am the smartest guy. Hey, Rob, you run this entire thing. Just so you know, these other guys have no. I just wait for your commentary, Rob.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad they were able to get past that awkward moment. That was a really awkward moment.
With his pants on.
But the moral of the story is the following.
You know why I like Patrick? He's got discipline. He's ex-military. He's got common sense. He's a smart guy. He's well educated, and he's just straightforward.
You know that's happening.
He doesn't sugarcoat the shit.
Who's the last person in this person's ear before they go to sleep? And who's his corner? The last phone call Trump makes is his campaign managers. What do they say? Let's role play the call. So you're Trump. Musk's life ends. You call. Do you think Trump's calling his best guys and his handlers to ask him what?
How was
First of all, what are the chances his campaign manager listened to it?
from the video, somebody was sitting with him.
That's not his guy, but it's one of his advisors. But what's the chances that they listen to
They
him?
100%. What do you mean?
100%, right? Exactly.
whole
If
thing.
they're not in the room, but 100% they listen.
for sure.
Okay, what do you think Trump's asking afterwards?
What the hell happened the first freaking hour with the audio?
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
that's one thing.
He already asked that. But
How did I come across? Did I hit all the points that I wanted to hit? Did I sound stupid?
he won't say that,
I
but
don't think
actually
he did.
say what he says.
Yeah, did I hit everything I was supposed to hit? Was there something that I should have done different that you guys could let me know?
Okay.
Okay.
So now, give me 3 different response, 3 different handlers would give.
Well, if they're the yes man, it's just like you were perfect. It was flawless. You couldn't have done any better. Another opinion would have been like, listen, you were good, but at some points you just kept repeating yourself about certain issues, and you should have driven it home and more and changed the subject. And the other guy could have been like, you know, he should have been more vicious. You should have. I'm just saying, different angle.
You're a reasonable guy. What would you say?
So I think there's probably two sets of people in the room of any candidate, and you have the ones who are not the leaders among the strategists, but they're in the room, right? To your point, like the 9 people. Oh man, you were great. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I'm probably gonna have to end the stream sooner than I'd like. You know, they're doing the new owners got people doing a lot of work on the place, so there's been a lot of construction and loud noises going on. So just keep that in mind.
Don't worry about the glitch at the beginning because you got on there and went out record. You made the points. Blah 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 blah. So you have all the people that are kind of yes people, and they're there to kind of prop you up and push. And then you'll have, you know, like the Corey Lewandowski, if I'm pronouncing Lewandowski. Back in the day, he would have sat there and says, you know, it could have been this, it could have been that, and he's constructive. And that was his rep. His rep was one-on-one constructive. I'm hoping there was a person like that in there. And then there would have been the person who's worried about perfection. Oh, I can't believe it. We started late. We went a little long on these things. But I think there's a lot of people going to be really careful about giving the candidate feedback. But I think there's going to be a mix in there. But I think there's going to be a lot of yes people.
Yeah. Well, what do you think Kellyanne Conway would say?
She would say, I think it was a great 3 hours. We got the most out of it. We touched the voters, the glitches, the system. Don't even worry about that. We can hit this, and this. I think she would have been right down the middle.
Okay, so
maybe let me
ask the question.
I mean, at the end of the day, if I assume it was like a Zoom call or something like that, you know, like was it face to face? I'm not sure. But if it wasn't, I mean, at the end of the day, as long as you could hear them both clearly, I mean, same message is getting through, I think. I mean, unless there's some performance being put on that, you know, could sway the voter one way or another, I don't see that really mattering.
In a different way. Maybe let me ask the question a different way.
Yeah.
How much of it is the conversations you have pre the live? How much of it is debriefing after the live?
Well, after
let me
the
ask the
live,
question one more time. Hang on. Hear me out what I'm saying.
I hear you.
How much of a successful live is the pre-live versus debriefing after the live?
Is so much more important.
That's the point.
Here,
right?
so much more important.
So let me ask
and
you.
I trust Kellyanne to be bomb.
So let me ask you a question. Pre-live, what does a good pre-live preparer do?
Go through all the points, all the points that you want to talk about, all the campaign points.
Strategy of what we're doing here with the richest man in the world, the biggest platform in the world.
You could also take notes from this as well. I'm like listening to this as I'm live streaming. This is probably really good advice.
Don't blow it.
Okay.
Filter.
You could probably take this whatever this circumstance is and apply it to your own life in some way.
and focus.
Yeah, filter focus,
and focus.
but remember,
Let's listen to that again.
Versus debriefing after the live.
Is so much more
That's the
important.
point.
Here,
right?
so much more
So let me ask
and
you.
I trust Kellyanne to be bomb.
So let me ask you a question. Pre-live, what does a good pre-live preparer do?
go through all the points, all the points that you want to talk about, all the campaign points.
Strategy of what we're doing here with the richest man in the world, the biggest platform in the world. Don't blow it.
Okay.
Filter and focus.
Yeah, filter focus, but remember what we're talking about. We're talking about Donald Trump. How much of the advice you have to be careful of what you tell him because he is who he is.
What do you
know
mean
what
careful?
What do
No,
we,
I mean,
what do we do? We filter, we focus, we talk about angles, and we have our perspective. We respect our audience through preparations.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So here's I wrote 3 things down. Okay. How much of what Trump said was what Trump said? How much of it was what the market is challenging Trump on to overcome those objections? How much of it was his advisors? Let me
So
say
what was
it
the
again.
first one?
So Trump, criticism, advisors.
I think Trump, Pat.
I think half of it was
he's
Trump.
Going 80%.
I'm 80%.
He's 80%.
Okay, how much is critics?
I was
Yeah, I'm
70,
gonna say at
You're
least
70, 27, where you at?
at the very least 50% of it
What
was
the
Trump.
last one?
Critics,
being Trump.
advisors.
Advisors, 80 to 10, 15 and 15 for the advisors giving advice, and the rest is going.
I'm the other way around.
Okay.
Adam,
This is what Trump wants to say, what him responding
what
to
Trump
critics.
said on the live, how much of it was Trump, how much of it was his critics, how much of it was these advisors?
90% Trump and then distribute the 10%, however you want to do
I
it.
actually think it's more 80, 15 critics, and then 5 advisors.
Meaning he's not listening to anyone. And the reason,
You
can I
have-
speculate?
Yeah.
Got it.
Can I
So we're in the
speculate
same
for a second?
direction.
Hold on, Tom. Can I speculate why you've already alluded to Kellyanne
Yeah.
Conway 3 times in the podcast, even though her name is not anywhere on here, is because he needs a Kellyanne Conway. Quick, think about it, real quick. Who's the one person in Trump's orbit right now that he will listen to as advice, counsel, advice? President Trump, this is what you should be doing.
Well, Don Jr.
Don Jr.
We know
be the
the,
main
we know
guy.
the influence
You think
Don
he's
Jr. had
listening?
on
I think,
Don Jr.?
I think he listens to Don Jr. for
Who else?
sure. On
That's not named Trump. In the
Kellyanne
current
Conway joins the
campaign.
chorus of Republicans urging Trump to back off the Harris insult.
Bingo. But she's not part of the campaign. Who's part of the campaign right now that legitimately?
Look at her look. What look is that? You know what look that is? It's the exact look you want for that person.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, you know how much credit she wants? This much.
Yeah.
This is how much credit she wants.
Well, she wants some money.
Why does she look so
She-
scary
she-
right there?
When I'm telling you this is how much credit she wants,
That looks
the
scary.
market's gonna
She
give her
looks
plenty of
dead.
credit, but she's a star.
I
That's
love
what she
Yeah,
is.
we're on the same page here, but she's not on the team. So answer this
I know
question:
she's not.
who's on the team right now that he actually?
His
will listen
sons,
to?
for sure.
That's not named Donald Trump Jr.
Oh,
Name the name.
I don't know anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's my point.
I don't know his team.
Everybody, even Pat, everybody that has somebody. You said the story you gave earlier about RFK. 9 people in a room, 5 people in a room, 2 people in a room, 1 person in a room. Who's the one person in the room that says, Mr. Trump, here's what you could have done better, straight up.
It would have
That's
to be
when
her.
that's when
If it's
your
her,
homie or your
Why isn't she on the
homies
team?
should
The
step up,
reason
you know?
why it
The
has
real
to be a
ones.
person
At
like
the
that
end
is
of the
because it
day,
has to
you
be a
know,
person that doesn't have to
if you're in that type of
brag
position,
after
you,
what they
you
did.
can't look to the public,
Guess who
man,
Trump
for
gave him
certain
that line?
answers
Guess who
like
told him to
that.
say
You
I don't
gotta,
want that person.
you unfortunately
It needs
or
to be
fortunately, you have to
someone
look.
that
You
is-
look
Boom. I
look
got
into
it.
family.
This is my role. This is
You,
what I'm doing. So anyways,
uh,
for me,
What's the word I'm looking for? You confide in family.
This whole, score that we went through, which is what Trump critics, advisors. This is how it works, Mr. President. Here's a 1-pager I gave you. Here's a phone. Here's a battery recorder on the bottom. Here's the bullet points to hit. Your points to hit. Here's what the critics are saying. Hit this. Avoid this. Stick to these stats. Here's this. Boom. Okay. All right. So look, da 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 da, check, da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da. Now, no matter how much anybody says about what happened, Rob, go to Twitter on what I said about Trump's Twitter Spaces. No matter what anybody can say about what happened, okay? This is.
Oh, I ain't gonna lie. This the
Stamina's
more I
by
hear
far
about
most
this election,
intimidating
man,
quality in a polling
the
campaign.
more
President
worried I
Trump's level
get.
of stamina is second to none. He's doing the call East Coast time, which means I'm Mar-a-Lago, which means it's almost 11 p.m. He's been going almost for 3 hours, including the delay. As a founder of a few businesses, one thing I can tell you founders have as an edge over their peers is their relentless energy to keep going way past their opponents slowing down or stopping. There's an
I think that's Trump.
intimidating
Oh,
quality and
oh no, that's
Now, President
Patrick's
Trump's level of stamina
tweet.
is second to none. He's doing the call East Coast time, which means I'm Mar-a-Lago, which means it's almost 11 p.m. He's been going almost for 3 hours, including the delay. As a founder of a few businesses, one thing I can tell you founders have as an edge over their peers is their relentless energy to keep going way past their opponents slowing down or stopping. There's nothing more annoying than an opponent that has unlimited supply of energy. It's annoying, it's intimidating, it's frustrating, and quite frankly causes the type of envy that words can't describe. Your enemies are hoping you slow down. They secretly hope for you to get sick or something happens to cause you to slow down. Here are 10 questions to help your decision of who to vote for. 1, how many interviews has Kamala done? 2, how many 3-hour podcasts has Obama, Kamala, and Biden ever done? Why not? Is it because it's risky? Do you as a voter prefer one
Okay,
that's
this is
willing
too
to
much,
openly
dude.
speak on a live with
This
zero
is
scripts
all
and
in one of
content? Would you
Patrick's
prefer all being
tweets.
calculated and scripted?
Okay, this is a little bit
Who
too
would you
much.
like to
I think
have negotiate on
You
your
could've-
behalf for the investment you're making, your taxes? Whose
could have cut
energy
this in
would you
half.
like
He's
if
got a
the war breaks
whole
out in the middle
numbered
of the night?
list.
Someone only
Holy
6 hours ago, or
shit.
someone who's a real life energy, real life energizer bunny.
He's still reading off of his tweet.
Who do you trust doing more good for your money? High taxes, money to the government. Low taxes, money in people's hands. Who do you think your enemies want to see win the election? A leader who's relentless and constantly moving, or one that's low energy and flip-flops half the time? Vote accordingly. So to me, you freaking kidding me?
I love number 10, by the way.
You know, to me, it's like, yeah, okay. Like, shit hits the fan at 3 o'clock in the morning. What percentage of America is asleep? If a war breaks out at 3 o'clock in the morning, what percentage of America is asleep? Because 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time is midnight. Actually, go 340 million people. What percentage of people, Americans living in America, do you think is asleep at 3 o'clock in the morning?
80%.
80%? Okay. What do you think? You think it's 80%, Tom? 20% are working? 90%?
Yeah, I think it's 85, 90%.
90.
Let's say 90% is sleeping.
Somebody's working emergency rooms, but you add it all up, 85% of America's in
Okay.
bed.
85, 90%. You have a
Reasonable,
phone
I
call to
think.
make. President Trump, President Harris, President Biden. Who do you think is going to be the fastest to get up, go make a decision, and boom, let's go?
Trump. Period.
It ain't even close.
Sorry.
Okay.
And it's not just speed.
Yeah.
Who do I trust at that hour to be processing and be America first and focused
Can
about it?
Donald Trump win the election without Kellyanne Conway and his team?
I don't know. We're about to find out in 80 days. We're about to find out in 80 days because.
You hear that? 80 days.
He said some thoughts about Kamala. Did you guys see this?
Rogan did.
Watch this, Rob. Play this clip, Rob. I just texted it.
You know who else is up at 3
You know which clip I'm talking about?
Oh man,
I
dude,
just
the closer it gets, I feel like this.
If you just tap in,
Shit gives me anxiety, I ain't gonna lie.
I think he's wearing a black shirt.
I'm
Rogan
scared
Kamala.
about the future
Just
of
don't
this
go all the way
country.
around. You want Kamala Atlanta. Just go Rogan Kamala.
And look what
Like this is probably the first time in my life in
Yeah, right
all the
there.
years I've been alive
Watch this.
that I'm genuinely
That's a
fearful
problem.
about the
That's a
future of this
problem, man. I don't
country.
think they thought she was going to be able to do that.
There you go.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
You can fucking coach somebody, bro. It ain't hard. I mean, maybe she just practiced. Who are these coaches? Just public speakers and stuff? Oh, yeah, public speaking coaches.
This
yeah,
is
there's
a Joe
political
Rogan
speech
clip,
analysts, there's people that can
and got Adam Ray on.
kind of
It
take
looks
it.
like
Gets hired to give her like some
who's
one-liners.
hilarious,
Listen,
by
there's
the
a crazy
way.
world where there's shit
He
like
does
that,
a
where
great
somebody goes,
Dr. Phil
you need a couple
impression.
zingers in your back pocket.
Funny.
100%.
Very,
That's
very
not your
funny.
Your brain doesn't operate like that. Trump's does. Trump is looking at like, you know, to make a little put down or he's just quick in that way. Listen, so he is quick in that way. Also, it would behoove him to hire a few great comics to just tour with him and just write one-liners about all these different fucking people. I mean, if he could remember them, I mean, I know he likes to go off his own head. If he could remember a few
Trump's a wild
Hinchcliffe
boy.
bangers, if he hires Hinchcliffe to take him on the road. You know how fucking insane that would be? Yeah, dude. Hinchcliffe writing bangers for Trump to shit on people. Comedy cures, and it also is like sometimes what kind of just pushes things over the top.
Okay. You know why I love what Rogan says here? What do you think about what he's saying here? What's he saying here?
Get some help and get some strategy.
What he's saying is that Kamala can win.
Of course.
That's what he's saying.
He's saying that too.
It's the initial one, yeah.
She's, I'm like disgusted
Can-
and shocked, but also completely understand. She's currently now favored to win the election.
But how? But how?
Look at Vegas.
How though? You know how?
Well, the how we can spend.
No, yeah, no, you're right.
But that's the reality.
Yeah, but it's absolute. We don't have to spend an hour to think of anything. Think about the actual fact is don't ever underestimate the power of the media. MSNBC, everybody. By the way, nobody wants to vote for
This is
Kamala.
scary.
They have to vote for her. That's it. It's not Trump, Kamala, and they're doing a fantastic job, bro. You have to take your hats off. She doesn't have to talk to anybody. Why would you? Why would you let her talk to anybody? Leave her just like when Joe Biden, when COVID hit, keep him in the basement. We already got it. We're already gonna do what we have to do to make everybody vote from home. That's
You're
it.
not seeing an election right now. You're seeing a marketing campaign.
Big
We've
time.
got other stories here about polling and other stuff that we'll get to, but
Yeah,
Do you remember the
but it's brilliant what they're doing.
What does polls tell us, Tom?
well, there's a couple things that are going on right now.
You want me to read the Rasmussen and then go to it?
Yeah, if that's we're rolling off
Yeah,
that.
let's get right to it. What page is the Rasmussen one?
What's that, 22 or something?
Is that where it's at? I think it's I don't think it's the 22 one. I think it is. There it is. Election 2024, Trump 49%, Kamala 44%, RFK 3%. This is Rasmussen report. As of
RFK got
August
3%.
8th is what the numbers are. So let me see if anything's changed from here. And there's a new one that came out with Pew as well. So
that's wild.
Here we go. Former President Donald Trump has maintained his lead over Vice President Kamala Harris and the support for RFK. The latest Rasmussen poll has a two-way matchup. 49% of voters vote for Trump, 44 Harris, 4% to RFK. These findings are nearly unchanged from a week ago, which was second survey since President Joe Biden.
And
Rob, what are those polls today? What are the numbers saying? Tom, what are you seeing on the market with the polls?
So there's a couple things that are going on today. And the first thing is that the Kamala bounce is subsiding, and it's really only 1 to 2 points nationally. But the media is pushing this AstroTurf campaign very hard, and there's a number of pollsters that are lining up as AstroTurf salesmen. Take a look here. This is the number of polls per week that were released. So why is it that on August 18th, August 11th, why are the number of polls going down, the number of polls released? It's because of this. When the polling data fits the media narrative, the polls get released. When the polling data doesn't fit the media narrative, the pollsters are holding back. And right now, the pollsters are holding back because the Kamala bounce is subsiding and it's settling in at 1 to 2 point on the national level. But remember, national level is like time of possession in a football game. That's not where the scoreboard is. The scoreboard is the Electoral College because the states are the touchdowns and field goals. That's how this is going to be settled. And right now, there are three.
All right, I don't want to hear no more about this. Whistleblower.
Congresswoman Tulsi has reportedly been named on the Transportation Security Administration Quiet Skies watch list.
Gabbard.
Whistleblowers within the Federal Air Marshal Service are claiming subjecting her to the same surveillance used against suspected terrorists. Gabbard, a lieutenant in the U.S. Army Reserve and a fierce critic of Biden administration, has unknowingly had 2 explosive detection K9 teams, 1 transportation security specialist explosives, 1 plainclothes TSA supervisor, and 3 federal air marshals on every flight she boarded since being added to the list. The whistleblower reports first shared with Sonia Labasco, the executive director of Air Marshal National Security Council, determined that Gabbard was added to the Quiet Skies list on July 23rd, 2024.
She was put on a terrorist watch list.
Criticized Biden.
That's crazy. This woman is ex-U.S. military or current military. I think she's like a lieutenant colonel or something. Has like been in combat like as a combat medic or something like that. And now because she spoke up about something, she's now on a terrorist watch list.
Harris and overall security state during an interview with Laura Ingraham. Vinny.
Okay, so I mean, first and foremost, I want people to understand what you just said, Pat.
That's crazy.
Means once she's put on this Quiet Skies list, every time she goes on a flight, there has to be let me find where you said it, PBD. She has to have 3 federal air marshals on every flight that she goes on. Okay, even terrorists don't get this type of attention. There has to be like 7 people involved with her. And I just, do you want to show what she actually said so I can get into it, Robbie? Can you show? She was on the angle. And this is, guys, pay attention. If you criticize the military industrial complex and Kamala Harris, and you say Kamala Harris is dangerous to our democracy, this is the Department of Homeland Security is going to tap you for the rest of your life. Rob, play this clip. Let them see it.
Interested, Laura, in what the American people are thinking. I've been seeing headline after headline saying, well, what is Kamala Harris's foreign policy going to be? And then you are reminded by these examples of how inexperienced and lacking of knowledge and strength that she is. So to answer that question, what kind of commander-in-chief will she be? What kind of foreign policy will she have? We simply need to look at the facts of what we've seen under the Biden-Harris administration. They are not running our foreign policy. Our foreign policy decisions are being made by unelected people in the military-industrial complex who are profiting from us being in a constant state of war, and the national security state that has more power to undermine our freedoms and liberties when we are in a state of war. Kamala Harris does not have the strength to stand up to the military-industrial complex.
Okay, you can stop it right now.
So she
Guys,
doesn't-
like, I hope you guys are picking that. That's all she said. It goes on for a little bit more, Tom. Nothing more, nothing less than what she just said. The Department of Homeland Security put her on a domestic terrorist watch list. And for the people out there that
That's
don't know
insane.
a little bit about Tulsi Gabbard, she's an active duty lieutenant colonel
Active
in the United
duty.
States Army. She was deployed in Iraq during the war, 2004. She was assigned to a field medical unit in a combat zone. Guys, not just hanging out and nothing's going on, in a combat zone, and received a combat medal badge for service under enemy fire. Okay, she was
That's wild.
basically there trying to help us fight terrorists, and she comes here and she criticizes them, and she's on the terror watch list.
You
And
know
wanna
what,
talk
Tulsi,
about
thank you for your
weaponized,
service.
legal system, top. The same thing that's happening with her is exactly what they've been doing to Donald Trump. Am I right?
Yeah, you're taking parts of the U.S. government and throwing at your opponent.
Yeah, there's absolutely no
When did they
difference.
add her to the list?
The moment that this happened, I guess August.
Day, July, no.
So the
It says she
whistleblower.
was added to the list July 23rd, 2024.
So
This just happened.
Adam said, yeah, raise.
And July 23rd
Yes.
was Kamala already the
This is
presumptive nominee at that
wild
point? I'm pretty
shit,
sure, yeah.
man.
So
Yeah, can I give you my little 2 cents?
Yeah,
real
and
quick?
I'm almost done. Like,
Yeah.
but think of this, Adam. Just on a security level, I know, Tom, we talked about it on the unusuals, where it's not going to be there forever. But do you understand the mental screw that it does to her? Because for the rest, like, by the way, I don't know if she's suing Rob. Can you check if she's suing she's suing them for doing this for the rest of her life, Adam? Her phone, she's always going to be questioning: are they listening to me? Are they watching my family? If I'm flying, who is that person? Are they checking me? Like, do you understand what type of disrespect? And again, Alejandro Mayorkas and the Department of Homeland Security, there's enough shit. We have terrorists, actual terrorists, walking over our border. Remember, they don't know the number. We caught 150, but God knows how many are here. We had that one guy, Tom, that
That's
came over.
scary
Remember, he was
thought.
like this: soon you will know who my name is. These are actual terrorists, and you take an active duty lieutenant colonel and put her on this list. Shame on all of you, every single one of you, and the people that let them put her on this list. Shame on you. They should freaking resign. One whistleblower came out. Where are the rest of you? Unbelievable.
So let me. So who runs TSA? This guy named David Pekoski. David Pekoski became the president of TSA under Trump in 2017. Okay, and was reconfirmed for a second term September of 2022. He leads a workforce of 60,000 agents, 440 airports. Under his leadership, TSA. During his tenure, TSA Pekoski also served as the Department Homeland Security and acting secretary from January 20 to February 2022. And it's, Rob, can you find out who Pekoski reports to? So who does TSA report to?
Is it
Probably
it's
Pete
in
Buttigieg,
Mayorkas?
bro.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, Adam, it's funny, but you're right. And also, Pat, while you're looking, the TSA has stated
Oh,
it
there
does.
you go. Under the direction of the Secretary of Department of Homeland Security.
So it's
That's
not
Mayorkas.
That's
Mayorkas.
exactly who it is.
What
So
a-
there you
what-
go. So TSA is under Mayorkas.
Yeah.
So
This
Mayorkas
really is like
forced
a couple of dudes
David,
just like
who got
talking
the
shit,
job-
really.
Who got the job by Trump to put Tulsi on the list. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
but it's not going to slow her down.
No,
Like, it's not going to
I-
because I'll just say this one
Yeah,
thing.
go ahead.
Is there a bigger threat to Kamala's campaign than the person who literally made her suspend her campaign in 2020 when she annihilated her on stage
Yeah.
than a female of color veteran,
No, not veteran, active duty.
active duty, but
Yeah,
part of the
soldier,
military,
soldier,
soldier,
Reserves.
So,
congressperson. Oh, by the way, who was a former Democrat who ran for president in 2020. She
I
has
didn't know
all the
that.
check marks. Boom, boom, boom. She's like the credible, established, sensible Nikki Haley.
yeah, you're right.
And Kamala Harris.
and you know,
like she's a viable candidate.
But you know what's
That's
nuts?
who she is.
She's some-
so everyone else that is not her is like, oh, we gotta silence this woman
Of course.
because she's that girl.
And the biggest problem is, Pat, Army, I'm Air Force, she's Army Reserve, well, she's still in the Army. We swore an oath to protect this country from enemies, foreign and domestic. And what people don't understand is that domestic word, to me, is more of a threat than the foreign one. It's when the people that are here, this deep state that we always hear, that people are like, you guys are conspiracy theorists. Do you understand what it has has to happen for somebody to hear that in the deep state, Alejandro Mayorkas, to say, hey guys, monitor her. She's a terrorist. She's a potential domestic terrorist. And if you guys hear one thing on her phone, if you see one thing, grab her ass and we're gonna make an example out of her.
Yeah, but it's such bullshit because she went through this the same exact thing when she was a quote unquote Russian asset when she basically criticized Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And then that's how she had to basically
This is
navigate her campaign.
what the fuck is going on? How do you put an active duty soldier on the terrorist watch list? This is so dirty. God, man, like bro. It's so crazy to even think about it. Man, we are a terrible species. I mean, human beings are sickening. Like, in general, we suck. And deep down, we all know it. We all know how disgusting we are. How much of a detriment we are to this world. You know who you are. Those of you who shit on everything civil.
A quote unquote Russian asset.
Unbelievable.
So we've seen this before.
But it's not cool.
And,
It doesn't make it good.
You know, a lot of times, you know, the Tulsis of the world, the RFK Juniors of the world, these are former Democrats who basically had a peek behind the curtain. They're like, oh, this is swampy in here.
Yeah.
Same thing that, I mean, basically Trump is doing on the right.
Yeah.
Speaking truth to power is necessary,
100%.
and that's why someone like Tulsi is so respected
Yep.
along podcast and free thinker type communities, but on the mainstream media, she'll be lambasted.
But and just a little fun fact: the TSA states it does not take race or religion into account when enrolling individuals in this Quiet Skies program. But they fail to mention if they do it for political affiliation. That is unbelievable. And Rob, did you find out if she's suing them?
I couldn't find anything, but there is an investigation into why she was put on the list.
By the way, this is a mic drop moment of Tulsi against Kamala, where it got Kamala to leave, endorse Biden, become the VP. Go ahead, Rob.
As a prosecutor, and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place. That impacts poor people in the worst kind of way. When you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not, and worse yet, in the case of those who are on death row.
I'm so freaking pissed watching
people,
this.
you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
What is the likelihood? What is the likelihood that she
That's
remembers
crazy
this
if that's
clip?
true.
She's worried that Tulsi's going to get louder, that she was involved in calling Mayorkas to silence Tulsi. What's the likelihood of that happening?
30%?
High probability,
It's
sir.
very high.
30, 40? Great question.
And I think it's an even higher probability that the puppeteers that are over her campaign that helped orchestrate the shift away from Biden because they don't want to lose power, that they dropped the dime. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. By the way, what she said was all facts. Think about this. Do you remember on this exact same debate stage what Kamala said about Joe Biden to his face.
Racist white guy.
He's basically like, I was that girl on that bus.
Yeah, you
I was
racist.
busted. So here she is, just basically calling like she sees it, accurate, because all these stories of Kamala, and now she's on this terror watch list.
Unbelievable.
Kamala plays the game, does the DEI checkmate game. Boom, look at her playing her role, even though she basically did the exact same thing that Tulsi did to Kamala, that Kamala did to Biden, the exact same thing.
Yep.
Hey, listen, we're gonna need a DI candidate. You're gonna need you to play ball. Hell, who knows? In 4 years, you could be the president.
Wow.
Boom. Yeah, look at this. Remember this?
Can we see that?
Don't forget this.
I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing.
Okay. Just the identity politics game of Kamala Harris. Do you hear Tulsi Gabbard do the identity politics game? She can do that game.
Of
She
course
can play that game.
She doesn't have to.
She doesn't have to. It's so disgusting to me.
I know.
And this is why, even as annoying and just sort of shooting himself in the foot constantly as Trump is, why I would definitely vote for Trump over someone like Kamala. But this is the reason Kamala's favored right now. She's playing that DEI identity politics game, and it's disgusting.
Leaders have been using agencies of our government since the dawn of time. I mean, how many books have been written about LBJ and the CIA? So we don't need term limits. We need jail.
I think so.
Can you pull up Mark Cuban? Mark Cuban goes on Jon Stewart. They're having a conversation together, and the entire time, Mark Cuban was there to promote Twitter on behalf of Elon Musk. And if you
Ooh, all right, folks, I'm gonna call it. Make sure you
Need some audio, bro.
make sure you like, subscribe, follow me on Twitch. Make sure you turn on notifications, okay? So you don't miss when I go live. Come chat with your boy, you know? See people coming and going, but, you know, hang out. Come hang out. Okay? Hope everyone has a blessed day. Peace out.